Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jai. Glory to Srila Prabhupada. So, it's been a while to read the Bhagavatam. And we do the best we can, but sometimes get drifted away. So, other things take the time up. But whenever possible, we need to take shelter of the pure message of Godhead coming from the pure devotees. So, we're back. And this is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 18, Text 9. And this is the chapter where it's called The Residents of Jambudvip Offer Prayers to the Lord. So they're offering very beautiful prayers. And I'm sure we get benefit by reading their prayers. They can show us how to actually pray to the Lord in devotional mood. So, this is text 9. May there be good fortune throughout the universe, and may all envious persons be pacified. May living entities become calm by practicing bhakti yoga, for by accepting devotional service they will think of each other's welfare. Therefore, let us all engage in the service of the Supreme Transcendence, Lord Sri Krishna, and always remain absorbed in thought of Him. There it is. You want world peace? There's the formula. May all living entities become calm by practicing bhakti yoga. For by accepting devotional service, they will think of each other's welfare. So they want world peace. This is how you do it. You do it. Bhakti yoga, devotion to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So there's no higher welfare. There's no greater peacemaking. To always remain absorbed in thought of the Lord. Engage in the service of the Lord. Purport. Prabhupada's commentary. The following verse describes a Vaishnava. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva cha patitanam pavanabhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. Just like a desire tree, a Vaishnava can fulfill all the desires of anyone who takes shelter of his lotus feet. Prahlad Maharaj is a typical Vaishnava. He prays not for himself, but for all living entities, the gentle, the envious, and the mischievous. He always thought of the welfare of mischievous persons like his father, Hiranyakashipu. Prahlad Maharaj did not ask for anything for himself. Rather, he prayed for the Lord to excuse his demoniac father. This is the attitude of a Vaishnava, who always thinks of the welfare of the entire universe. They're not worrying about themselves. They're not thinking about themselves. Praying to excuse even the demons. He's a Vaishnava. He's not worried about what's in it for me. What do I get out of this deal? They already have everything. They have the lotus feet of the Lord. The Lord is pleased by their devotional service. He's fully present within the heart of the Vaishnava. What more could they want? Except that others can also make a connection with the Lord and be relieved from their miseries and their sufferings caused by their ignorance, and some of them just their demoniac appetites. To be relieved. Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavatam are meant for persons who are completely free of envy. Paramanarmatsaranam. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj prays in this verse, Kalo prasidatam. May all the envious persons be pacified. The material world is full of envious persons, but if one frees himself of envy, he becomes liberal in his social dealings and can think of others' welfare. Anyone who takes up Krishna consciousness and engages himself completely in the service of the Lord cleanses his mind of all envy. Manascha Bhadram Bhajatad Adhoksaje. Therefore we should pray to Lord Nrsingadev to sit in our hearts. We should pray, Bahina Shingo Hridayena Shingo. Let Lord Nrsingadev sit in the core of my heart, killing all my bad propensities. Let my mind become clean so that I may peacefully worship the Lord and bring peace to the entire world. Yeah, I'm remembering now, this is Prahlad Maharaj has his planet, and so these are Prahlad's prayers actually from his planet in Jamadweep. And material world is full of envious persons, Prabhupada says. But if one becomes free from envy himself, then he can become liberal in his social dealings and can think of others' welfare. It's this enviousness. Anyone who takes up Krishna consciousness and engages himself completely in the service of the Lord cleanses his mind of all envy. So Hiranyakashipu, Prahlad's demoniac father, was so envious of his son and Krishna. So Lord Nrsingadev took care of that. He was liberated. His father was liberated from that body, which means not just the gross body, but the subtle body, which is where these different desires and these different demoniac appetites reside. So his father was relieved of not just his gross body, because Nrsingadev actually tore his gross body apart, but also his subtle body. He was relieved of that. He received liberation. Killing all my bad propensities, Lord Nrsingadev, let him sit in the core of my heart, and let my mind become clean, so that I may peacefully worship the Lord and bring peace to the entire world. Yeah. It starts with the individual. It comes from the individual. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has given us a very fine purport in this regard. Whenever one offers a prayer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one always requests some benediction from him. Even pure Niskam devotees pray for some benediction, as instructed by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his Shikshashtika. Ainantana nujakin karam patitam mam vishame bhavam buddha kripaya tavapada pankaja stitaduli sadarisam vichintaya. O son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I've fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please, pick me up from the ocean of death. Place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. In another prayer, Lord Chaitanya says, Mama janmani janmanishvare bhavatad bhaktira haitakitvaye. Life after life, kindly let me have unalloyed love and devotion at your Lordship's lotus feet. So, praying to the Lord, Prabhupada says, means you ask for something. It's just that you don't ask for anything material. You ask, Lord Chaitanya is showing us what to ask for. Devotional service, life after life. Place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. He's asking for something. When Prahlad Maharaj chants Om Namo Bhagavate Narsinghaya, he prays for a benediction from the Lord. But because he is also an exalted Vaishnava, he wants nothing for his personal sense gratification. The first desire expressed in his prayer is Svastasu Vishvasya, let there be good fortune throughout the entire universe. Prahlad Maharaj thus requested the Lord to be merciful to everyone, including his father, a most envious person. And as we know, his father caused Prahlad much personal inconvenience and distress. He tried to kill him, not just once, but several times. He was very hateful toward his son. But those things didn't stop Prahlad from praying for his welfare. That's what happens with a pure devotee, is they don't accept all the animosity and hatred and personal inconvenience that comes. Sometimes physical torture, unnecessary, totally unnecessary, or in some cases even death, but they don't, a pure devotee does not become disturbed, even to those ultimate degrees of animosity and envy. Hare Krishna. We depend on Krishna. As you know, for one thing, they're not the body. And for another thing, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead within the heart of everyone. And by surrendering to Krishna, one is fully protected, even if they lose their material body, because they don't identify with the material body. So whether the material body is killed or not, it doesn't affect the pure devotee. We were just reading about Jad Bharat and how he was so transcendental to his position. He wasn't worried about what he was eating, or he just wasn't even taking care of his material body at all. He just didn't identify with it at all. Well, that's pretty high level. We do have those examples to keep us going at least in the right direction of transcendence. Try to help us prepare for those ultimate moments of death. And if anybody spends a little time with, say, maybe a relative who is undergoing that process of leaving their body, who has not practiced Krishna consciousness and has only a very vague idea that there might be God, but then again there might not be, who knows, to see what they go through as they're going through the dwindling phase, preparing for being evicted from the material body. They do not go peacefully. They do not go peacefully if they don't have any real, haven't developed any real appreciation or devotion for God, then they do not go peacefully. So it's a very painful situation. And there is no solution, even though they keep trying to find one on a material plane. There is no solution, and it's not anyone's fault. It is just the laws of material universe. So, we want to go to the spiritual universe. So we are hearing these messages coming from the pure devotees about how to prepare for being transferred to a better situation all the way around. But we do have that prayer of Lord Chaitanya, if I have to take birth in the material world, don't let me forget your lotus feet. So there's always that too. Main thing is to be conscious of Krishna. The first desire expressed in the prayer, let there be good fortune throughout the entire universe. According to Chanakya Pandit, there are two kinds of envious living entities. One is a snake, and the other is a man, like Hiranyakashipu, who is by nature envious of everyone, even of his father or son. Hiranyakashipu was envious of his little son Prahlad, but Prahlad asked a benediction for the benefit of his father. Hiranyakashipu was envious of devotees, but Prahlad wished that his father and other demons like him would give up their envious nature by the grace of the Lord, stop harassing the devotees. Kalo prasidatam. The difficulty is that the kala, envious living entity, is rarely pacified. One kind of kala, the snake, can be pacified by mantras or by the action of a particular herb. An envious person, however, cannot be pacified by any means. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj prays that all envious persons may undergo a change of heart and think of the welfare of others. There's no remedy for envy. Say that it's even worse than a snake. You see those Czech charmers? They play the little music there, and the snake is charmed. He gives up his biting tendency. He's happy hearing the music. And Prabhupada also says here there's some kind of an herb that also pacifies the snake, so he doesn't act in an envious way. Envious, I've heard it described as like when you see a snake with an envious nature, it means they'll strike something just because it moved. Something moves, they'll strike, not for any other reason except that it moved. So an envious person is like that. They don't have to have a particular reason to strike or to be envious. Just if it moves, they turn their animosity toward it. So devotee is in the line of fire there because they're moving. They're moving in devotional service to the Lord. They have life. And the envious person doesn't like it. He wants to stop it. He wants to stop that life. And the life of the devotee is actually eternal. It can't be stopped. So that's very frustrating for the envious person. See, an envious person decides they turn their envy and their anger and their hatred on someone and they kill them. And then they feel better. But with a devotee, you can't kill them. So that's very disturbing. Just like with Prahlad. Hiranyakashipu tried to kill him so many times. Tried to poison him. Tried to pierce him with swords. Tried to dash him to the rocks from a high place. Tried to expose him to venomous serpents. So many different things, different ways. Tried to kill him, but he couldn't, because you can't kill a devotee. In this case, Krishna stepped in and even protected his material facility as a devotee. So he was such a pure devotee that he probably didn't even have a material body. He was so fully engaged in devotional service, his body had become spiritualized. And Krishna personally intervened, protected him. Didn't allow the snakes to bite, shielded him from the pointed weapons, didn't allow the poison to disturb his bodily functions. Like that. gently guided him to the ground safely when he was thrown from the cliff into the rocks below. And Krishna personally intervened, like he did with Maharaj Parikshit. He entered the womb of Uttara and protected the embryo, Maharaj Parikshit, from the nuclear weapon that was sent, the Brahmastra, that was sent by Asvatthama to try and kill the last descendant of the Yadu dynasty, Kuru dynasty. So that's that same Krishna. He intervened for Prahlad also. So the envious person, his father in this case, Hiranyakashipu, although he was so envious and hateful he wanted to kill him, he couldn't. So that was very frustrating and aggravating, which got him to the point of actually wanting to kill Krishna, the source of all life itself, source of everything. He wanted to kill the source. That's how envious he was, is he wanted to kill the source of all life. And these demons are very foolish, because as the source of all life, he's also the source of his life. So he wants to kill himself and everyone and everything and God and just destroy everything. That is craziness, madness, which can, of course, is ridiculous. So I think Krishna intervened and killed him instead, liberated him from that envious condition. Liberation. And from there, he has the possibility to go on for devotional service, or he may drop back down into material pool. But that particular Hiranyakashipu mentality that was there in his subtle body is gone. Krishna relieved him of that. So, materialists always think of sense gratification, but Prahlad Maharaj prays that the Lord's mercy will change their minds, and they'll stop thinking of sense gratification. If they think of Krishna, always, everything will be all right. Yeah, the sense gratification is going to be there. Serving Krishna means there's going to be sense gratification. It's just, you have senses, they're being used. It's not that there's no eating, there's eating. And very nice eating too. Offer all kinds of wonderful preparations to Krishna. And distribute the remnants and take the remnants themselves, devotees. It's delicious. And seeing and music, and it's all there. Family life, if that's going to be good for someone to engage in family life, then that's there. It's all there. It's just when a person tries to simply take those things just in terms of sense gratification, not in terms of spirit or Krishna, that's where the problem is. And they just think about gratifying their senses, and instead of thinking about serving Krishna, and the senses are automatically gratified. So, by thinking about the sense gratification all the time, they're never satisfied. They're never satisfied, because the senses are never satisfied. But you think about Krishna, then the senses are automatically satisfied by pleasing Krishna. Some people argue that if everyone thought of Krishna in that way, the whole universe would be vacated, because everyone would go back home, back to Godhead. Well, personally, so what? I think it's a great idea. But as we learn here, that isn't the case. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that this is impossible, because living entities are innumerable. If one set of living entities is actually delivered by the Krishna consciousness movement, another set will fill the entire universe. Yeah, so don't worry about that. There'll always be living entities in the material world, waiting for the opportunity to leave. And when they do, others come. So that's just the way. It's marginal energy. Living entities are marginal energy. And marginal energy has a tendency to engage in the material energy. So there'll always be volunteers to serve Krishna indirectly. Is that actually everyone's serving Krishna? Some consciously and some unconsciously. Some directly, consciously, and some indirectly, unconsciously. But everyone's serving Krishna, so there'll always be volunteers to serve Krishna unconsciously. We don't have to worry about the poor universe being empty. It's not going to happen. However, it might be somebody else's turn. I'm done. It's somebody else's turn. I'm done. All right. This is text 10. So this is evidently Prahlad's praying some more. My dear Lord, we pray that we may never feel attraction for the prison of family life, consisting of home, wife, children, friends, bank balance, relatives, and so on. Yeah, he doesn't say we never, Lord, we pray that we never have family life. He doesn't say that. He says we never feel attraction for the prison of family life. That's like, that saying in the Christian teachings that the love of money is the root of all evil. Well, sometimes people say it wrong. They say money is the root of all evil. It's not. Money is not the root. You need money to transact. It's a medium of exchange. It's not money is the root of all evil. It's love of money, overly attached to money. That's the root of the evil. But money is actually an expansion of the goddess of fortune, meant for serving Krishna. How can she be evil? It's not evil. It's when, in ignorance and material lust, someone becomes overly attached to money, like Ravana, overly attached to Sita. He just wanted to try and exploit Sita, and not realizing that Sita is the eternal companion of Lord Ram. Can't separate the two. So, money is like that. Money is meant for serving Krishna. It's meant for serving the Hare Krishna movement. It is meant for something that devotees use in their service to the Lord. Or, how shall we say, serving Lakshmi. How do you serve Lakshmi? By making sure that she's nicely serving Krishna. You help Lakshmi in her service to Krishna. Or Narayan. Lakshmi in her service to Narayan. That's how you become a servant of money like that is a good servant. That's good. You want that. That's back home, back to Godhead. But trying to steal Lakshmi away from Narayan, engage her in one's own service of one's own senses, that's pretty bad stuff. So family life like that too, is the members of the family are meant for serving Krishna. So to try and help each other serve Krishna is very nice. What prison is there? There's no prison. Everyone's serving Krishna. Trying to, anyway. But when one tries to have everyone focus on themselves, or they want to be the one that serve, never mind Krishna, then there's a problem. It becomes a prison. And everyone's at each other, and who can get what. And, this is mine. No, that's mine. On and on. So, that verse, beginning of that verse again. My dear Lord, we pray that we may never feel attraction for the prison of family life, consisting of home, wife, children, friends, bank balance, relatives, and so on. If we do have some attachment, let it be for devotees whose only dear friend is Krishna. A person who is actually self-realized and who has controlled his mind is perfectly satisfied with bare necessities of life. He does not try to gratify his senses. Such a person quickly advances in Krishna consciousness, whereas others who are too attached to material things find advancement very difficult. Yeah. Too attached to material things find advancement very difficult. Prabhupada's commentary. When Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was requested to explain the duty of a Vaishnava, a Krishna-conscious person, he immediately said, Asat Sangyatyaga e Vaishnavachar. The first business of a Vaishnava is to give up the association of persons who are not devotees of Krishna and who are too attached to material things, wife, children, bank balance, and so on. Prahlad Maharaj also prays to the personality of Godhead that he may avoid the association of non-devotees attached to the materialistic way of life. If he must be attached to someone, he prays to be attached only to a devotee. It's an interesting sentence. If he must be attached to someone, he prays to be attached only to a devotee. If he must be attached to someone. It is possible to not be attached to anyone. Have no special friend and have no special enemies either, and simply be attached to Krishna. Of course, we don't go directly to Krishna, we go through his pure devotee. So, if we have to be attached to someone, let's be attached to the pure devotee. But in this instance, he's specifically discussing in terms of personal attachments, like family, husband, wife, lover, whatever. Let it be a devotee. Or have to be attached to someone, a child, a parent, husband or wife, whatever. He says, let that person be a devotee. But it is possible not to be attached to anyone. Just be attached to the pure devotee. That is possible. A devotee is not interested in unnecessarily increasing the demands of sense gratification. Increasing the demands, unnecessarily increasing. The demand for sense gratification is there. But they're not interested in fanning the fire of sense gratification, which is the whole business of the material world. Bigger, faster, louder, more, at a maddening pace. I mean, bigger, faster, better, more, louder, stronger, harder. So whatever it is, it has to be taken to the superlative. It has to be, or actually that's the comparative, but heading toward the superlative. Fastest, loudest. To the point of going deaf. Eating more to the point of 600 pounds. Going faster. You get this huge wreck. This is what he's not interested in that. Definitely not. Sense gratification comes automatically by serving Krishna. There's no need to endeavor for it separately. Just like there's no need to endeavor for liberation separately. There's no need to endeavor for anything separately by engaging in devotional service to the Lord. He's made it so easy that hearing and chanting is, he accepts that as devotional service. He's made it so simple for this age. Simply hear and chant. The Lord will accept that as devotional service. Of course, as long as one is in the material world, one must have a material body, and it must be maintained for executing devotional service. The body can be maintained very easily by eating Krishna Prasad. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhaktya praritam asnami prayatatmanaha. If one offers me with love, devotion, a leaf, a flower, fruit, or water, I will accept it. Why should the menu be unnecessarily increased for the satisfaction of the tongue? Devotees should eat as simply as possible. Otherwise, attachment for material things will gradually increase, and the senses, being very strong, will soon require more and more material enjoyment. Then the real business of life, to advance in Krishna consciousness, will stop. Yeah, think about it. If devotees eat simply, then there's not a whole lot required to prepare simple prasadam. There's not a whole lot required. So simple vegetables and grains and fruit and milk. So, simple meals. Feast time is another thing, celebrations, but just in general, everyday meals. Be very simple. And tasty, delicious, and healthy and nutritious. But to start getting into, demanding elaborate things to satisfy the tongue, then there's more money is required, means you have to work harder, or get it by other means, however, and then how to prepare these things, and then wanting to go to restaurants and taste this and taste, and the tongue just goes wild, wants to taste. Once that is fanned, that desire to taste more different kinds of foods, then, and it's very hard to stop. Want to go here, want to go there, let's taste this, let's see what's in that restaurant, and then pretty soon, where's Krishna? It's just the tongue. So, that doesn't have to happen. It can be satisfied eating very nutritious foods, delicious, keep it simple, chant Hare Krishna, and be saved from unnecessary attachment, material desires, and another birth. And it's not like it's happiness eating all these things. There's gastric distress and there's karmic reactions. Some of the stuff is not even offerable to Krishna. And there's all kinds of reactions and diseases that come. So it's really not... It might be with the different kinds of happiness, different kinds of pleasure, the mode of passion. In the beginning, it seems really nice, but in the end, it's just like poison. So there's that. Yeah. It's better to just keep it simple. Cook for Krishna, things Krishna likes. And then take the remnants. Text 11. By associating with persons for whom the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Mukunda, is all in all, one can hear of his powerful activities and soon come to understand them. See, that's the benefit of associating with persons who are surrendered to Krishna, is that they don't want to talk about anything else except Krishna. And by associating with a person like that, and by hearing about Krishna, begin to understand Krishna, become more and more attracted to Krishna. The activities of Mukunda are so potent that simply by hearing of them, one immediately associates with the Lord. You want to associate with Krishna? To hear about his activities. And that means the activities of his pure devotees too. Because the Lord never appears alone. He's always enacting with his pure devotees. For a person who constantly and very eagerly hears narrations of the Lord's powerful activities, the absolute truth, personality of Godhead, in the form of sound vibrations, enters within his heart and cleanses it of all contamination. Yeah, this is not like a mental thing, like when I understand and then I have this knowledge. This is more than that. It enters the heart. The vibration enters the heart and cleanses it of all the contamination, because the desires, within the heart, it's cleansed. On the other hand, although bathing in the Ganges diminishes bodily contaminations and infections, this process and the process of visiting holy places can cleanse the heart after a long time. Therefore, who is the sane man who will not associate with devotees to quickly perfect his life? As powerful as the Mother Ganges is, and as powerful as visiting holy places is, Prahlad is making the comparison here that those types of purifications, they take place after a long time. It can take a long time that way. But by associating with the pure devotees, it can be very quickly. And we associate with them through their writings. If we have the good fortune to associate directly in person, then who can measure that? That's immeasurable. But that's not always available. But we can associate with them through their writings. Because what are we talking about here? We're talking about the absolute truth, the personality of Godhead in the form of sound vibrations. And that's what the pure devotee, if you're with the pure devotee directly and they're physically manifest, what are they doing? They're speaking about Krishna. So those personality of Godhead is emanating from them in the form of these sound vibrations. And in their writings, what is happening there? It's like these are sound vibrations written down. And by reading them, especially out loud, we get those sound vibrations. Enters the heart. Reading is especially wonderful because we're engaging not only hearing, like if we listen to recordings, tapes and lectures and things, we're hearing. But if we're reading, we're not only hearing, we're also speaking. So we're doing two of the devotional processes at once. We're hearing and chanting. And that's very, very potent. So reading out loud is very good. So that's what we're doing. It's recommended. It's recommended to do that, hearing and chanting. Prabhupada's commentary. Bathing in the Ganges can certainly cure one of many infectious diseases, but it cannot cleanse one's materially attached mind, which create all kinds of contaminations in material existence. Now that's Prabhupada speaking. He says the Ganges cannot cleanse the materially attached mind. You can become cured of infectious diseases. Mind cannot be cured. Wow. However, one who directly associates with the Supreme Lord by hearing of his activities cleanses the dirt from his mind and very soon comes to Krishna consciousness. More in the glorification of hearing. Sutta Goswami confirms this in his Srimad Bhagavatam. Shrinvatam svakata Krishna punya shravana kirtana vidyantasto yabhadrani vidhunoti saritsatam. Supreme Lord, within everyone's heart, becomes very pleased when a person hears narrations of his activities, and he personally cleanses the dirt from the mind of the listener. I'm going to read that again. Within everyone's heart, the Lord becomes very pleased when a devotee hears narrations of his activities, and he personally cleanses the dirt from the mind of the listener. He personally cleanses the dirt from the mind of the listener. We know of an instance where the Lord personally cleansed dirt in the Gundicha temple. He personally cleansed the temple so the Lord could sit there, Lord Jagannath could sit there in his form as a devotee, Lord Chaitanya. And he cleansed that dirt with his tears so that the Lord could sit there. So the Lord is very, very good at cleaning. And here Prabhupada says he personally cleanses the dirt from the mind of the listener. Ridyantasto yabhadrani vinudmoniti. He washes off all dirt from the mind. He washes off all dirt from the mind. We know in Gundicha temple he washed that dirt with water and also his tears. Wow. Material existence is caused by dirty things within the mind. If one can cleanse his mind, he immediately comes to his original position of Krishna consciousness. Thus his life becomes successful. Therefore, all the great saints in the devotional line very strongly recommend the process of hearing. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu introduced the congregational chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra to give everyone a chance to hear Krishna's holy name. For simply by hearing Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, one becomes purified. Chaitodarpana marjanam. Therefore, our Krishna consciousness movement is chiefly engaged in chanting the Hare Krishna mantra all over the world. There it is, in a nutshell. There it is. After one's mind becomes cleansed by chanting Hare Krishna, one gradually comes to the platform of Krishna consciousness, and then reads books like Bhagavad Gita, Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Nectar of Devotion. In this way, one becomes more and more purified of material contamination, as stated in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Nasta prayeshu abhadreshu, nityam bhagavata sevaya, bhagavati uttamasloke, bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regularly hearing the Bhagavatam and rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is practically destroyed, and loving service unto the glorious Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. In this way, simply by hearing of the powerful activities of the Lord, the devotee's heart becomes almost completely cleansed of material contamination, and thus his original position as an eternal servant, who is part and parcel of the Lord, become manifest. While the devotee engages in devotional service, the passionate and ignorant modes of material nature are gradually vanquished, and then he acts only in the mode of goodness. At that time he becomes happy and gradually advances in Krishna consciousness. So these are some of the stages. Chanting Hare Krishna, praised with transcendental songs, by hearing the Bhagavatam and rendering service to pure devotee. Simply by hearing of the powerful activities of the Lord, the devotee's heart becomes almost completely cleansed of material contamination, just by hearing. That is, the Lord accepts that as devotional service. We just read in the previous verse that he becomes pleased, and that he personally cleanses the dirt from the mind of such a person who is hearing nicely like that. The Lord helps. The Lord personally cleanses the dirt from the mind. Yeah. And that is devotional service, hearing. He's accepting that as service. That is devotional service. The Lord is pleased by devotional service. And by engaging in that devotional service, the passionate and ignorant modes of material nature are gradually vanquished. They back off. And such a person acts in goodness, mode of goodness. Peacefulness, self-control, eating healthy foods. There's a lot of the characteristics of the mode of goodness. He becomes happy and gradually advances in Krishna consciousness. All the great acharyas strongly recommend that people be given a chance to hear about the Supreme Lord. Then success is assured. The more we cause the dirt of material attachment, cleanse the dirt of material attachment from our hearts, the more we'll be attracted by Krishna's name, form, qualities, paraphernalia, and activities. This is the sum and substance of Krishna consciousness movement. Yeah, it's like a snowball effect. We get a little bit of a taste, and then we want more. So we're willing to have some more material attachments, be relieved of some more material attachments. We're willing for that. And then we get another taste, a higher taste. And then we're willing to have more attachments removed. Or dirt. They're talking about dirt here, same thing. Material attachments are dirt. You have those dirty things taken away, or be relieved of them, and then we keep getting a higher and higher taste. So once it's set into motion, then it's a matter of time. It can be some interruptions. There are interruptions. We know that Maharaj Bharata had an interruption. He was on the path of being cleansed of all the dirty things in the heart, material attachments. And then there was one that he didn't give up. He was attached to having a little pet. And unfortunately, at the time of leaving the body, that he was thinking of that pet. So there was an interruption there. He had to take birth according to what his mind was fixed on at the time of death. And he was thinking of an animal. So he ended up in an animal form. So, but he had made so much advancement that in his next life he picked up where he left off, and then he was able to finish up. So his hearing is so powerful like that, and so that's Bhagavatam for today. Hare Krishna.